Welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show, presented by Hugh Hattrick. Here at Bathurst in the Forest, my very special guest, Peter Golly, Rascal, Rabbit, Josh Martin. It's great to have you back on the show. Drive fast and try not to crash.
Good evening and welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show with me, Hugh Hattrick, and a very, very special guest all the way from California. It is Lady Wanderlust.
Hi.
Hello, it's great to have you on the show, and I do hope I have pronounced your name properly. I just suddenly realised there I hadn't confirmed it beforehand, but I think hopefully it was all fine.
It's great to have you on.
Oh, that's good. That's reassuring to know. It's fantastic to have a female sim racer. We've not had that many on the show, so it's great to have you on the show and to see what it's like and to hear about your story. Now, the first question we always ask our guests here is, how did your sim racing career and your gaming experience begin?
Okay, so there's the initial introduction to sim racing for me, and then my return to sim racing. So my initial introduction to sim racing was probably in oh my God, this is so long ago. The fact that I said 19 says, oh my God. Okay. 1998, I believe. I had this conversation with my brother yesterday. 1998 was when, or 1997 was when the game came out, but I probably played Gran Turismo, the original Gran Turismo, 1998. It was probably a gift from either my parents or another family member to my brother, I'm sure, either for Christmas or his birthday. And we're close in age, so we play the same games. And I gave the game a shot and it pulled me. I think the fact that they had challenges in the game, that's what pulled me, because I'm naturally a pretty competitive person when it comes to sports. So that was when I was like 12. And so, around that time too, I was involved with a lot of sports. So I don't really know how long I was gaming in, playing sim racing games. Well, that was probably my main sim racing game, or maybe my only sim racing game back then. I probably did that for a few months, and then my life got cut up. I focused solely on school and my IRL sports. I was very involved with volleyball, basketball, and track. And then college, my life was about school, work, sports, community. And then I slowly got back into gaming a few years after college, after university. I got back into WoW. It wasn't sim racing, it was WoW, World of Warcraft. I did that for a little while. I was obsessed with it. And then I was like, I can't keep playing this because it's consuming too much of my time. And then so it wasn't until 2019 that I got back into Gran Turismo Sport. Not back into Gran Turismo, back into the Gran Turismo games. And it was my brother again, the reason why I got back into Gran Turismo. So we hadn't played since we were kids, but he happened to pick up the Gran Turismo Sport game. And he had time to play games because he just had a newborn and he was on paternity leave. And he's like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun playing again. He's like, you should give it a shot. So one time I was at his house, he was having like a family party and I started playing games again. I got really into it. I'm like, okay, I'm having a great time. How much is this game? And he's like, I don't know. I bought it when it was $40. I'm like, okay, well, that was a year or two ago. I looked it up. It was $20. I'm like, oh my God, this is a steal. I'm going to get it. So I got it and I started playing it more. And then I was streaming it and I met some awesome people in my chat who really they were supportive, giving me lots of tips, and I got hooked. So here I am now competing online too. So who knew? I didn't know that would happen.
It's fantastic though. I mean, you've got 1,700 subs on YouTube, which is fantastic. And if I was going to say, for all the chat tonight, if it's the first time you've ever seen Lady Wanderlust, we have our channel link in the description below. So make sure you subscribe to our channel on the link below in the description, and you can watch her videos live and her streaming as well. And there were some fantastic videos. I watched your iracing video the other day, and also you were doing FIAs, which is pretty good because if you've not really done that for a while, I mean, it's quite a challenging. I've only done them here and there. But how do you find things like FIA? Because you do them consistently. How have you gotten on with FIA?
I mean, I have a lot of fun racing in them. It was very intimidating at first. It was more of a comfort to just do the what do you call it? The what is the offline ones? The circuit experience.
Oh yeah.
You know, just I guess time trials, single race mode at first. I mean, because before I was on Gran Turismo Sport, I was pretty obsessed with Call of Duty, and you know, after a while of coming across toxic players, I'm like, maybe sim racing is a good rotation in. And then people are like, oh, when you play online, you're bound to come across toxic people too, other toxic racers. And I'm like, great, I guess I can't get away from the toxicity that is online, right? But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I'm not the best, but I want to get better. And the only way I'm going to get better is if I just jump right into it, you know? I jumped into my first FIA race was it 2000? It was probably last year. Yeah. Last summer, almost a year ago, was my first FIA race. And I didn't get last. So I took pride in the fact that I didn't get last. And then knowing where my mistakes were and knowing that I can improve upon them, I'm like, you know, I can do this. I can hang. So I just got to keep putting in the time, putting in the work, and I'm going to enjoy doing this. I've stuck with it ever since. The fact that I don't know too much about each manufacturer yet, I've been trying to sign on with a different manufacturer every season for the Manu Series. And I just started the Nations Cup maybe earlier this year. So did I answer the question?
Yes, no, you did. No, you did.
Okay.
You did. Now, let's quickly going to go through. I'll start opening up the questions here to the chat. So here we go. Lots of good evenings. There's lots in the chat. We've got 16 watching already, which is brilliant. So I will start the questions. Here we are. It is from, I will put it up here, from Aiko Hendricks. Do you hope to get more women in sim racing and streaming with your channel, Lady Wanderlust?
Oh yes, definitely. So I've actually, there are 2 women who have actually reached out to me in the last few months about joining online tournaments with Women's League. And I told you earlier, like, it's a little intimidating because I feel like I'm still just getting my foot in here with this whole sim racing thing. But I feel like I definitely want to encourage other women and girls at a young age to participate in this. So I was saying that I got into sim racing when I was probably about like 12, 13. And I was very competitive in sports. And I think that if sim racing was a bigger thing when I was young, I probably would have wanted to compete competitively at a young age, train hard. And if there are scholarships available, I mean, that's something I would have wanted to work towards. And if that's a thing right now, not really up to date with how things are right now with sim racing esports. But if that's a thing, I highly encourage girls to take a chance and work towards that, because I have fun. I'm sure if they have fun, you know, I hope there's opportunities for them. So
yeah, I think as well. I mean, certainly. I mean, because when I was younger, I mean, I grew up with games from probably the mid to late, kind of late 80s, early 90s. That's showing my age now. But it was all kind of basic like PC games, and then eventually it was like Ataris and then we got PlayStations towards the end of the 90s. But it was like, I think boys just naturally grew up more with games, and that's the thing. And it was like my sister, she had a horse, so she went out and did horse riding or something else, and we were stuck in playing games. But you know, so it was like we did different things. You know, there was different. I suppose people just did different things in that time, in that era. But nowadays, I think everybody, there's so many great games out there, and you find that everybody has a shot. Or certainly, and I think girls as well, more of them want to have a go because they are good. And sim racing is great because it's completely neutral in terms of anyone can have a go. And you know, and there's some fantastic female racers out there, and we're beginning to see many of them come through, which is really, 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 really good. But that was a fantastic question by Nico. So it's
to add to that, I think it is important to have female role models, and if I can be a role model to another female, then I'm going to do my best to be that role model for them. So there's probably other questions. I was going to get off topic. You don't know this, or you're going to learn of this about me, but I can go deep into my answers. I get long-winded.
No, that's great. That helps me. That helps me sort of to search through my notes to try and get another question. No, that's great. Now, there's a quick off-topic question here from Rascal the Rabbit. He says, I'll put it on here. What college degree did you get or major in? Because you're saying that you were studying hard.
Okay, so in college, I got my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I got my master's degree in media and communication psychology. So I have backgrounds in psychology, media, marketing. Yes.
That's pretty good going. Fantastic. Now, I'll try and keep them on the cards. Now, here's Richie Johnston, one of our moderators, and he asked the question, what's been a standout moment so far of your sim racing career?
Standout moment. I guess placing podium. That's what comes to mind. I know I still have a long way to go in terms of being a top racer. So the fact that I've gotten podium maybe 3 times, that's probably what stands out to me the most.
That's very good. Because if you're starting from scratch as well, and it is very, very competitive, and it's great to get there, isn't it? And bit by bit, you start to get to be more consistent. But no, that's fantastic. But now, Adama Banana, which I think is still one of my favourite PSN names here, is what car category in GT Sport do you feel most confident with?
Oh man. I just feel like I've spent most of my time in the GR3, GR4 categories because I've been participating in the FIA Manufacturer Series races. It probably took a few months before I gave the dailies a shot. And, the dailies, sometimes it would limit you to certain categories. And racing with the slower cars was a struggle at first, but I've actually grown to really enjoy it. So I actually enjoy racing in the one make roadster races using a Miata. So that's growing on me. But yeah, like I said, I keep participating in the FIA Manufacturer Series. So I'm kind of like stuck in that GR3, GR4 category right now.
Yeah. That seems to be the one that they always do. Now, we've got a good question here from James Clark. And I'll put it up here. It says, would you ever punt another driver off if he was driving crazy?
The temptation is there. It's there. And there might be times where I might shrug a bit, but I don't feel like I've really been motivated to like ram a car into the wall. Maybe the thought's there, but I don't think I would do that. That's just not me.
So you're very clean and not going to rage quit or anything like that. It's always a good sign that
I rage restart when I'm doing my practice.
Yeah, we all do that one. Now, from Yoda68 Zach, they ask, where did the name Lady Wanderlust come from?
Good question. I definitely have a lust to wander and explore and adventure, and I wanted a name that really like described me as a person. So I went with Lady Wanderlust, and well, of course, Lady Wanderlust was a name I had to choose for when I first started my Twitch streams, and I started streaming games, but then in the back of my mind, I eventually wanted to stream like my outdoor adventures, kind of like a live vlogging. So I stuck with a name that just totally fit me at my personality, Wanderlust. Yeah.
Fantastic. No, that's good because that's one of the things we normally get if somebody's got quite a good name on their YouTube channel. We always ask as to where did it come from. Now, Aiko again has said, do you have a favorite sim racer that you like to watch?
Favorite? Did he say racer?
Like favorite. I assume sim racer. Or a streamer that perhaps you like to watch?
No, I've met a lot of sim racers ever since I started sim racing / streaming, and in general, I just enjoy all the people that I've met and watching how they race, just seeing their different styles. So I don't have one particular favorite racer. Maybe the group of favorites are the ones that come and hang out with me and support me, of course.
I know, that's a good, exactly. I mean, that's a great thing because the communities grow and that's it. And we all give each other support, which is fantastic. That now, Jerry, I'll go to this question here. Jerry, NCF1, has asked, have you got into enjoying watching motorsport now that you're a GT Sport player?
Good question. More recently, I want to say maybe at the start of this year, I started watching F1 on Netflix, and I really enjoy it. It makes me wish I had started, learning more about cars at a younger age. Like I said, I was sim racing, but I didn't really learn more about cars, which is crazy because I said earlier, my brother and I are close in age, and he is a car lover, knows so much about cars. He's probably talked about cars to me. Maybe might have gone in one ear and out the other a few times. But when I started watching F1, I was like, this is amazing stuff to learn about, like the different manufacturers, the racers, the difference is in a super fast car compared to like the cars that I'm using and racing in Gran Turismo Sport. Wait, you said watching motorsports, and then I was almost gonna go off topic and start talking about how my husband got me into Initial D, and that hyped me up also to really incorporate racing into my life.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. I mean, I think, have you found as well, like watching F1 on Netflix, that you have maybe a favorite driver or a team that you think is your favorite?
Oh man, after season 1, I did have a favorite, and I can't remember his name right now. Oh man,
What team?
He was. I think he was with Red Bull the first season, and he's not with Red Bull now. He was on the first episode. Ricciardo.
Oh yeah, Danny Ricciardo. Yeah, he's
yes, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's always smiling. He's always smiling and happy, and does some great on the brakes. He's always last on the late breakers. Always tries hard. Danny's fantastic. But yeah,
I'm still behind, by the way. So like, you talk about something like more recent with F1, I won't know, and I'll be lost, and I don't know what teams they're currently on.
Oh, that's all right. No, I was very fortunate about my only experience of Grand Prix, actually, going to see one live. Was a number of years ago, back in 1993, when I was 18 for 18th birthday, and I went to see the European Grand Prix at a place called Donington Park in England. And I saw the legendary Ayrton Senna win the Grand Prix, and it was just the most astonishing day I'll never forget it, because the noise, the smell, the sound, everything was just atmospheric. They had the helicopters flying past with all the flags on the build up, and then it rained, and then it was dry, and they ran out of tires because it was raining so much, and it was dry, and they didn't know what to do. And it was amazing. And then we saw Senna basically almost lap the entire field. Apart from Damon Hill and win the race. So yeah, it's an incredible event to see.
What an experience.
But F1. But then you've got, America's got amazing sport with NASCAR and IndyCar and all of these kind of things, and even dragsters are popular, aren't they? They've got all sorts of motorsport over in America. But let me get to another question.
Sure.
Here we go. Now, let's see. We had a lot of good questions coming. Yes, from James Clark. He says, why do you not stream the FIA races live on YouTube?
Oh, on YouTube. Good question. Well, in general, I say I don't like to live stream my FIA races because I am easily distracted. I would be paying attention to chat rather than focusing on the screen, on the road that I should be focusing on when I'm racing. So I cannot do the competitive races live. I can practice, like you guys have seen me do, live, but I can't do. I might be able to do the dailies, the really short ones live, but I can't do the longer FIA ones live.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And here's a good question as well from Tara Black. It is, who creates your liveries?
So in the beginning, I was creating my own, and more recently, I can still create my own, but I've had another subscriber on YouTube / follower on Twitch who has gifted me liveries. He is just such a fan that he's like, I'm going to design this for you. And I've actually really loved the latest liveries he's designed for me. So my latest videos, my last video yesterday, actually, with my dog, Ichiro, on the front. And then he put like American Girl, I think, on the bumper, or it's like Bad Girl. I don't remember anymore. But like, yeah, he really took the time to like make it fit my personality. His name is Columbo, I believe 14700, something like, I don't remember the exact numbers, but Columbo on PS4. He's from France. And I believe his YouTube name is Toff with a picture of a cat on it, black cat.
Oh, well.
Oh, and his partner Reglis 23, his other racing partner, helped design some of them too. So
Fantastic. No, that's great. Well, we've got 25 in the chat, which is amazing. So for everyone who's watching and listening here, when it goes on the podcast, make sure that if you have a question, write it in the chat, put it in capital letters, and that will help me to see it a lot quicker. So we've got lots of questions here for Lady Wanderlust. And if it's the first time that you've come on to the Hugh Hattrick channel, it would be fantastic to have you subscribe and join our community. If you like lots of sim racing interviews like the one we have here tonight with Lady Wanderlust, then you're in for a treat, because we have lots and lots of sim interviews every Thursday night. We've done one for almost a year or more, in fact, since we rebooted the show last August, with people like Iris, with Rory Alexander, with The Key, with Super GT, Tidney, and many, many more. And next week we've got Rascal Rabbit 2. But let's get back to the questions. As here we are. We've got Aiko Hendricks, where he says, which countries do you want to explore after COVID is over?
Hey, Cor, with the questions. What's up? So which countries do I want to explore after COVID is over? Japan has been on the top of my list for a long time now. So if I could go there, I don't know. I haven't done my research as to which countries are safe right now, or I feel like will be safe in the next few months. But Japan's been up there. So has Greece, Germany, Morocco. So those are a few to name. I definitely would like to check out some tracks like Nürburgring. Yeah. That would be amazing. And if I could enjoy a race in real life, I'd like to check out the race in Monaco sometime.
Monaco would be fantastic. Yeah, that's a brilliant place. But you've got a great race in Texas, mind you, in Austin, Texas. The US Grand Prix is a really good facility. And you normally get some pretty close racing there as well. And I think you can see quite a lot of the track from most of it, which is really quite good. But what kind of track, where would you like to, if you had a chance to actually drive around a racetrack, what track would you want to have a go around?
Drive through a racetrack?
Yeah, if you could get to a racetrack and let's say do a track day, and they said, right, there's your car, where would you, what track would be your number one, or if you had a few that you would like to race around?
Well, yeah, the Nürburgring comes to mind, Nürburgring Nordschleife. The closest one to me, I want to say, is probably Laguna Seca. For those of you who've followed me along on my races, Laguna Seca is not my favorite. It's probably the closest. Yeah.
It's very tricky though, isn't it? With the corkscrew and all that dust and things to catch you out.
Mm-hmm. And then on Gran Turismo Sport, I believe it's Tokyo Expressway that I really enjoy, but that's not a real track. So that's just a shame.
Yeah. I wondered about that actually. I wasn't entirely sure if that was real or not. So it's good to know that it's not real. So if I ever get to Tokyo and get a hire car, I'll make sure I don't go around the Tokyo Expressway because it won't be there. So or it won't be what I'm expecting. But,
I mean, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just what I heard, that it's not a real track. Somebody let me know. Let us know.
No, I'm sure you're right. Now from Darren Turner, it says, who is your favorite YouTuber?
Oh man, I don't know. My favorite YouTuber. I've watched several YouTubers here and there, but there's nobody that I follow religiously. That's my honest answer.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. And a kind of similar question to that is, who was your inspiration for starting to stream? And that was from Digital Car Culture, our good friend Colin.
Good question. So it's my husband. DJ, aka Mr. Miata, is what he goes by now because he's a Miata lover, and we now have a Miata sitting in our garage. He inspired me to stream. It wasn't something that I even considered, but he slowly started getting back into gaming. He had friends that encouraged him to play Call of Duty, and then they eventually suckered me into playing Call of Duty as well. And then he was like, did you know that some people will pay to watch you play your games? And I'm like, that sounds ridiculous.
That's what I was hoping for.
Really?
Eventually.
Yeah. Is that a thing? And I checked out Twitch. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? If I'm going to game, I'll give it a shot. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. After streaming, it wasn't really about trying to make money from having people watch me playing games. It was about growing a community and just hanging out with people. So that's how I got into streaming, because of him. He introduced that to me. So, and I've met lots of amazing people in general, other streamers. I went to TwitchCon, met other people in person. And so, yeah, I like being involved in this Twitch streaming community.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, I'll go into a racing question here. Where would you say you are, where do you think are the areas that you would like to improve most in your actual racing approach and how you race?
Improve.
Or how you drive. Do you think there's areas where your driving could improve? And if so, what do you think you need to do that?
Good question, because so I had watched some of my older races not too long ago, and when I'm watching it, I'm like, why was I so persistent on taking certain lines? Like so many people in my chat would be like, you need to take this certain line, you need to go wide, use the whole track. And like I know that, and it would be in my mind when I'm trying to, drive through the track, but it's like my habit of comfort, like maybe sometimes sticking in the middle, like not feeling confident to go out wide enough to take a certain line. And I've gotten better over time. I just feel like if I can be consistent about taking better lines, and then maybe finding certain cars that I really love and am comfortable with, where I feel like I'm one with the car, and then finding those perfect tracks that I feel like I can be one with the track, like I could be better in general. But I'm still at that point where I'm getting a feel for different cars still. There's tracks that I'm racing on for the first time. Like this is still a learning experience for me. So
yeah, because it's that's one of the things when I was talking to Z28 Gaming, and he'd watched one of my streams beforehand when I was doing a live stream, and he said that was my problem. I wasn't using enough of the track. He's going to go use all the curbs, use everything you've got to carry as much speed as you can around the bends. And it's a hard thing to do, because it's all about confidence, isn't it? If you feel how the car is going to react when you go on the curbs and things like that. But it definitely makes a difference. And the great thing is on GT Sport communities, as I'm sure you already know, there's so many people ready to reach out and help and give advice on how to, like, even just for what gear to be in around certain corners can make a difference, isn't it? And braking points and all of that. So I've learned a huge amount just by when I've been streaming, and people have said, I've asked for some tips, and they come up with something to try and help. Because it's great. It's a great feeling when you can take half a second off your time and a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, and then suddenly you start to get more competitive, isn't it? But
exactly.
But there we go. And we've got a great question from Adama Banana. Do you have a circuit you just want to banish to the shadow realm?
I feel like at the time when I have a terrible race experience, maybe, but there's no circuit that comes to mind right now when you ask me that. I did mention earlier Laguna Seca was one of my least favorites, but I've over time I've gotten better at it. I wouldn't say I want to banish it from the shadow realm, but it's Laguna Seca comes to mind when I think of least favorite tracks.
We'll give you that. That's not a problem. Now we have one, I think, from your husband, Mr. Miata. You were just talking about him there, and we better make sure we answer his question there.
Oh my god!
What is your favorite Japanese track?
I mentioned earlier, right? Tokyo Expressway. That's the one where it's like a sharp hairpin at the end, right?
Oh yes, a horrendous hairpin. Yeah,
I really enjoy that track.
Yeah.
What is it? Is this Tsukuba circuit that's a Japanese track, right?
Yeah,
That
Tsukuba. Yeah, it's always on race day.
seems to be a lot of people's favorite, but for some reason, I cannot. It's not. It doesn't fall in my top 10. Like everybody loves it. I'm like, I can't feel that same passion that you guys have for that track.
And to be fair, we're doing our new community series just starting at the end of July. And Rascal the Rabbit has reminded us that Tokyo Expressway is our first round in the upcoming HHTCR series. So that will be coming on board. There's still time to enter. And it's all going to be front-wheel drive cars. So it's all going to be quite fun, Group 4 cars. So if you're up for that, there's still time to join. Once a month at the end of the month is our normal times. But now Yoda68 has said, have you ever driven on track, or would you like to? Now, I know you've answered a little bit of that, but have you ever actually been to a track to drive on it?
We're talking about real life IRL track, right?
Anywhere at all.
I have never driven on a track before, ever, nor have I experienced a race for leisure, but I have worked an event. I had to film a Formula 3 Mazda Pro racer a few years ago, actually, the Sonoma Raceway. And it was an amazing experience just being at the track. Like the excitement, like everybody there cheering, and then being in the media room with other commentators, other media professionals was exciting. And then I remember I was in the middle, not the middle of the track, not like in the middle of the road of the track, but like on the track, like, that section that you can be like in the, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. It's the section where you can be in the middle of the track where you try to film. Yeah. I was trying to capture the race, the race car drivers pass through. And it's so hard to like capture the right moment because they are so fast. Like, that they're fast, but you don't really know how fast they are until you're like standing on the track. Yeah. And so that was a rush. I loved it.
I was going to say, if you're on the track, you're just kind of centimeters away from them, aren't you? So you get the full everything that goes past, isn't it? I always remember when I was watching the Grand Prix live, and we were on the Dunlop Bridge at Donington Street, kind of the back street, and you could just see you weren't supposed to stop on the bridge, but a lot of people did, and there were a few gaps in the bridge, and you could just look over, and when the cars went underneath with the sparks flying, it was incredible because obviously you got the noise of the V12 F1 racers, and then they just fly past underneath you, which was a brilliant experience.
The sounds, that's exciting too. Oh man!
And if you want to see a classic F1 video, look on YouTube, and it's Prost Senna at Silverstone 1993, and it's the closest battle. It's where Senna uses all his skills to keep Prost behind him. And he's in a slower car. The Williams is faster, but he manages to do it for quite a few laps. And honestly, if you learn to drive like Senna did, you'll have no problem at all in GT Sport. You'll be, they will never get past you if you can use the kind of tactics that he used. So it's an amazing video. Now let's see. Reaching through the questions here. Now, in fact, do you have a message for your community? Because you've got a big community of subs. Over 1,700 subs on YouTube. What would you like to say to them? What's been the biggest thing you've noticed about your community?
Pretty much that I wouldn't really be here if it wasn't for my community. So I did mention earlier that my brother got me into sim racing at a young age, and then he was kind of the reason why I re-entered into playing sim racing again. And then it was my husband who actually got me to start using a steering wheel, almost kind of forced me to do it. But it was a good thing because I feel like I enjoy racing even more. And that's probably what encouraged me to even enter FIA racing. But it is the support of my community, all their tips, their questions, them hanging out with me in my live streams, commenting on my videos. It gives me so much encouragement to keep improving my skills and keep racing. So thank you so much, guys. Like I really wouldn't be here without you. There wouldn't really be a racer, Lady Wanderlust without you guys. So that's my message, general message to everybody.
Fantastic. And Richie is asking as well, and I'm sure this is a good question here. What are your days for streaming, and do you have a specific schedule?
I kind of change it up sometimes. I try to commit to Tuesday mornings, Pacific Standard Time. So 10 a.m. Tuesdays. Did I say that right? 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time Tuesdays. I usually always try to stick to that schedule when I do my sim racing, my Gran Turismo Sport. And I try to incorporate Fridays from time to time to do my sim racing. And then every other day that I randomly decide to stream, I usually try to announce it at the beginning of the week. It's usually either a just chatting stream, I'm streaming a different game, or I might go on an IRL live adventure during the weekend or something like that. So I do enjoy, playing some other adventure, open world, sometimes first-person shooter games. So that's what I might stream sometimes.
Yeah. So I suppose with things like Grand Theft Auto, is that sometimes a game that you've played?
I have never played Grand Theft Auto, actually. I was curious about it, and I know that Grand Theft Auto 5 was free for like a week one time last year, and I didn't hop on it because I didn't hear about it soon enough. So I've never played Grand Theft Auto. I played Need for Speed Heat. I guess there's a rush there, right? But I haven't played Grand Theft Auto.
Well, that was the one when I first came to America with my family back in 2015, and I visited Florida. I mean, we were waiting in line at the airport to get our rental car, and the chap asked me, he says, "Oh, have you ever driven in America before?" And I said, "No, but I've played Grand Theft Auto, so I should be all right." And he said, "I thought I was going to, keep a hold of the keys, It was like,
yeah.
Oh my God. That game, you never stop at a red light; you just keep going. So that's the thing. But no, it was good fun. I actually found driving in America to be quite easy. So there were no problems there. But I'll get back. Oh, I was going to say a quick question as well. What's the setup that you have? Because I can just see a line on a wheel there. Have you got a G29?
A Logitech G20. It was hard to fit this steering wheel in the camera right now. I was like, yeah, it's Logitech G29 steering wheel. I started on a Thrustmaster T80. So that's kind of a long story. Right. I argued with my husband about this because when I first started, I'm like, is a steering wheel really necessary? Like, am I really going to invest a couple $100 on a steering wheel? But, he was like, it changes the whole game. Like, you really need one. And for me, it totally changed everything. So Thrustmaster T80 was kind of like my introduction to using a steering wheel, and I enjoyed it. But I after enough games, I realized the limitations of using the Thrustmaster T80, and I didn't like the force feedback originally. But I gave the Logitech G29 a chance, and I got used to it, and I actually love the force feedback now. So I did try our cousin's Fanatec setup, and I'm like, oh my God, I would love one of these one day, but cannot afford that right now. So yeah, I'm a Logitech G29. I have it on a stand, and then my chair is just a gaming racing chair. I don't have a full rig set up. So
yeah. Because I noticed that sometimes watching your videos, you seem to be slightly squint from your chair as you're driving, and I thought, try to find a comfortable position. How do you find that? Is it quite difficult?
Oh my God, the struggle is real. I don't know how far back to put my chair to adjust it. And then my chair's on wheels, right? So maybe if I get really into it, I push on the pedal hard and I move back a bit. I'm like, this is not how you should be racing. But I deal with it. So it's what I have to work with.
I'm sure your channel, if that's the thing, now that you're monetized, you can eventually get yourself a sim ring, like a track racer or a play seat. Was it the play seat sensation? Looks pretty good. There's quite a few out there. There's a whole host of them. But it makes a big difference because when your seat doesn't actually move when you're playing, I mean, it's a huge difference. But you've got the wheel and pedals and just something that gives you so much more feel as to how it's going. Now, there's a great question here from Yoda 6-8 Zach. It says, there's not many streamers or players who stay as anger-free on this game. How do you do it?
It's funny that you ask that, or like you say anger-free, because I actually am angry inside. You just don't see it. Like, of course I'm going to get angry when somebody cuts me off or intentionally like tries to boot me off track. If you're asking how I don't rage, I tell myself like, like anger will only make you do worse. Like if you live in it, so I'll experience the anger for a few seconds, but then I'll let it go because, I've got the race to finish. It's probably years of competing in sports, not just racing, but other sports. You realize like anger does nothing for you. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And what would you like? What are kind of your goals now for your channel over the next year or two? What would you like to achieve?
Good question. My YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would just like to grow a larger community and in general, show you guys that I am improving as a racer, sim racer.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And would you like? Would you ever consider taking on or getting driver coaching and things like that to try and help in that strategy of getting yourself further up the grid?
I've had several racers offer to coach me, and I just feel like I don't have the time and commitment right now to commit to a coach. When I think coach, like I feel like I got to show up at a certain time every week or once or twice a week. I don't know what the schedule would be like, and I feel like in my life right now I can't commit to that. This is something I would have loved at a younger age, where maybe there was more opportunities for me if I became a top racer. Right now I would love to improve as much as I can. I feel like I don't have that time to commit to a coach.
Yeah. No, I think because sometimes if you have to do it, you have to take maybe 4 or 5 lessons or something like that or more, isn't it? But it's interesting because some people take up that and they go on the courses and then just to try and get faster, and others want to learn it themselves. I'm very much like, when you see the top 10 times on the 3D Sport and you think right for the dailies and you think, right, what am I trying to kind of aim for or to get anywhere near? And it's I don't like watching the videos, even though they've done it. And I say like that's the time I want to try and get there myself and try, and take roughly from where I am. But I know that they can do things on a racing game that you can't do in real life. And I'm still used to thinking, well, I can't take so much curb, or there'll be track limits or whatever it might be. But I think the guys that watch the videos and just follow the ghosts and practice, they seem to be getting these crazy times. But I think if you can get near the top 10, it does mean that you'll move up. Because what kind of ranking are you at the moment on GT Sport?
I actually don't check that. Maybe sometimes I might peak, but I don't really remember where I'm at. I know I'm still in the D class and I've got a ways to go, but Yeah, but
the thing is, you're competing. I mean, in the FIA race, you were overtaken and you were going up the field, so it shows that you've got good speed. And it's just practice, isn't it? At the end of the day, the more races you do, the better you'll get.
Exactly.
And you've had podiums. If you get podiums on these races, that's fantastic. It says an awful lot. Now, Keith will own you. Here's a fellow American all the way from Arizona. Says, how do you like iracing since you just started?
So far, I enjoy it a lot. There's big differences that I notice, of course. I feel like with Gran Turismo Sport, I mentioned it to you earlier, it's more aesthetically designed, I guess, more aesthetically produced. The race, there's like hype, right? There's music, different angles of the cars right before you start. iRacing, it seems like it's just straight up, just, you enter the race and race. The colors don't pop out to me as much. I am a visual person, so I notice these things. But in terms of the actual race, I like that there are racetracks on iRacing that aren't on Gran Turismo. So it's a new track for me to learn, to experience, and have fun on. Things aren't as difficult for me to pick up, but there's still a lot for me to learn on iRacing. So I like that it's easy to learn. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the community in iRacing. I heard that there's a lot of, I don't want to say more. Well, yeah, I heard that the community is a bit more mature, I guess. Not like Gran Turismo's immature, but maybe there are more, I don't know, toxic people in general in a larger sense. I've gone fortunate enough to not meet that many toxic people, but yeah, I've seen some toxicity in some of the chats in the lobbies right before the races. And people talk about it all the time, vent about it all the time, right, on Gran Turismo Sport. So I'm interested to see what this community on iRacing is about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, we've got some great questions coming in here. Richie has said, have you always raced in cockpit view on GT Sport?
I don't know about always. Maybe when I figured out that I could even change my views. Yeah, I'm like, this is as close to a simulation experience as I can get. And I've just stuck with it because I want that full experience. Like I'm really in the car and I'm racing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the one, if you can do well in that cockpit view, it's quite satisfying because you think, well, that's what it's like in real life, isn't it? I tend to use the other one with the speedometers and most of the road, but that is the one that I think is probably toughest. Now, here's a good question as well from Aiko, who's written this question in capitals, just like I've hoped for you. Which rank do you want to get into in GT Sport?
When you say rank, like, are we talking about like a specific number?
Yeah, like would you get like up to A+, or get like the kind of, I suppose, the rankings?
Oh, those classes. I'm
or
looking
do you
at
have a name?
a name.
Oh, sorry, not a name. As in, are you aiming to try and get to a particular level?
My focus is really just on improving as a racer, improving my skills, getting faster. I actually was not paying attention to rank so much. Like I said, I want to become experienced with different tracks, with different cars. That's like my main focus. And of course, yeah, I would like to improve my ranking and move on to C and B. And it's one step at a time. I'm not looking to make A, in the next year. So, I would like to just improve in general. That's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. I think that's the lovely thing about GT Sport is that you can't just come on and just enjoy it. And if you do the online races or daily races, you can have fun with that. Or as you say, just doing circuit experience. I quite like the background of that in the game is good fun. And it teaches you so much about how to go quicker in the car. And if you do more of that, you're actually better prepared, I think, for the online play as well, because you know your tracks, you know how to do them properly. And then you've got your you learn how to overtake better as well, because you've had to do the challenges to be able to get the trophies and things like that, which is great. But now, here we go. It says that Zany Rabbit has said, not that one, that GT Sport has the worst cockpit view in any game. And I think, it's different to things like Assetto Corsa competition. But how do you find that? Have you, compared to other games, do you find that the cockpit view is worse or better?
In iRacing, I literally did one race, and I want to say I didn't find it frustrating that I was in cockpit view. There might have been a few cars that I used in Gran Turismo Sport where the cockpit view was annoying. I can't remember which anymore, but like I said, I do my best to just suck it up and do the best I can in that view, because I get the full experience racing in that view.
Yeah. And I've got a couple of great questions here from Stephen Scott, from Scotty. He said, is that a bottle of bubbly behind you, and is it empty?
Look at your eye. It's not empty. It is bubbly. I have a lot of wine bottles all over my house. I live in wine country. So, and I had a membership with one of the wineries, so I have wine all over the house. And I can't drink it all. So that's why I still have them around the house.
That's fantastic. Now we've got a question from Tara Black. Would you consider joining the GTS racing that's going on now in our crossover communities?
The races going on.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of community races that go on. For example, like with Podium and others, they do the Battle of the Beatles and things like that. And they're really good fun. They're very laid back. Is it something you maybe have a go at?
So you mean like races that other racers organize themselves?
Yeah, yeah, just like they have them on like the lobbies in GT Sport,
Oh,
the
yeah.
private lobbies. So they're kind of open lobbies, but you go on Discord and join their communities. Because I know that Tara is a member and races along with Podium and a few others. But is it something you might have a go at?
Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't mind just joining a race. But like, do people set up leagues where they um, already scheduled 5 races in advance, and they're like, okay, everybody join this?
You can do things like that, or you can just arrive and drive. For example, Podium's one, you just arrive on the day, on the time, and then just have a go. And as long as you get the car, it's like you have a Group 3 Beetle, and then you have a 1960s Beetle. And everything's the same, the BOP is on, so you just join on and have a go. And it's great fun, actually. I was doing that on Sunday with them. I had some really good races. But again, it's any ranking as well, so you can, it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you are, you just have a go and race. And they're really good fun, actually. They're very good. Always get a good warm welcome.
I mean, if I hear about it and I'm free, I would probably just hop in then.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, our series that's starting at the end of next month of July is going to be one race every month towards the end of the month, and it's just going to be like a 30-minute race, and then you've got qualifying beforehand, and it's all Group 4 front-wheel drive. So yeah, you'd be more than welcome to come along and have a go. And again, it's completely open in ranking, so it's great fun, and some people will stream it live, and others will just have a go. So. We'd love to have you along if you did want to come. Whether you do the whole lot or just one, it's totally up to you.
Awesome. But, I'll check out the schedule.
And now Richie has asked a question. What's next for Lady Wanderlust and the community moving forward?
I don't really think
FIAs, is it?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm participating in the FIA Manufacturer Series, and I think I want to just not do the Nations Cup right now, because that when I participate in both FIA races at the same time, it takes up so much of my time. And the fact that I have iRacing now and I want to, grow more experience in iRacing, I'm gonna have to just stick with Manu Series and then set aside time to practice and do laps around different tracks, get a feel for different cars on iRacing. So that's where I'm headed moving forward. Fantastic.
No, that's great. That's super. Now, we've got a great question here from Flat Pick Slim. That is a tricky one to pronounce, that one. Do you think there is a sim rig in your future?
I definitely foresee that. It's on my mind all the time, especially whenever I'm racing and my chair moves back. I'm like, oh my God, I really need a rig. I don't know how soon I can get one though, but yeah, I definitely see it in my future.
Fantastic. Oh, that's super. Well, we've had we're on 52 minutes, nearly an hour of fantastic questions. So if you've got any more questions for Lady Wanderlust, make sure you put them in the comments in the last few minutes. And if it's like I say, if it's the first time that you've come along to the channel, make sure that you subscribe to Lady Wanderlust's channel. We've got the link in the description there below. And also, if you love sim racing, then it'd be great to have you along on our channel too, to hit the subscribe button and a like as well. Now, lots of the comments have been saying about which cars that people like. In things like Group 3 and Group 4, I know you were driving in the Mercedes yesterday for your FIA race, but do you have other particular favourites for Group 3 and Group 4?
I enjoyed the preseason where I was signed on with Honda. I was in it. Wait, what was I in? NSX, right? That's what GR3, GR4 category is for. I had a lot of fun racing with that. I know I didn't, preseason was only maybe six rounds, so I didn't get to try it on enough tracks, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it's something that I would like to gain more experience with. And then future manufacturers I would like to sign on with, so I get more experience in the cars, would be like Porsche and Jaguar. So
yeah, there's some great cars. The Jaguar sounds great, along with the Corvette. They always sound quite good in GT3 as well, aren't they? I was racing them at Monza, and also at where was it? It was Dragon Trail this week, isn't it? That they've got the GT3s, and they always sound quite good. But we've got a good comment from Aiko saying, "I wish my boss wanted to fund my online racing more." that you might have to do more overtime, Michael. If that's then you might be able to get the money to do it all. But yes, we've got a few people who have subbed to your channel already. Keith will own you. I said he's subbed, and he's also sent you an iRacing friend request. So there you are. So it's working. And Yoda has asked. He said, "Oh no, that was a particular one. What's your dream car?"
Good question. I don't really have a dream car right now. I appreciate the beauty of a lot of cars. Man, I might have had a dream car growing up. Like maybe when I was younger, I wanted to have a convertible Jeep just so I could easily hop in if I wanted to. And then when my brother got his car, his first ever car, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know this was a car that existed because like I wasn't into cars then. But he got an RSX, a DC5. And I'm like, this is beautiful. I want this, but I don't want to get the same car as you. So I did it. And then when I met my husband, he loves Fair Lady Z's. And he ended up getting one, and I loved it too. So I love Fair Lady Z's. I went to a Datsun meet where I saw other Datsun cars, and the 510 Bluebird grew on me, and I'm like, these are beautiful cars. So I have an appreciation for a lot of cars, but I don't think there's a dream car I want to really have. So I enjoy my car right now, so because it's reliable. It's lasted me almost 10 years now. No.
That's pretty good going.
Yeah, my Honda Civic. So I'm happy with what I have.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't need a dream car because my husband always gets the cars.
Well, there's so many great cars in America. They're a wee bit cheaper than the European counterparts. So if we want anything decent over here, we have to pay a fortune for it. But you've got things like the Dodge Chargers and Chevrolets, Chevrolet Camaros, Ford Mustangs. And there's all sorts of great stuff that seem to be quite popular. But yeah, and then you've got the nice straight roads to be able to put them at the traffic lights and have a bit of a race away and see how fast you can go. But now we've got a few people joining us. We've got Charismatic who is saying hello there, and we've got and we've got 27 in the chat, which is absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
So with lots of great comments. And oh yes, there's a thing. Have you ever played the PlayStation, GT Sport with the VR headset?
I have not. That would be an amazing experience. So I need to grab my hand. I need to set my hands on a pair just to give it a try. Damn. Have you? Oh my God. I
have tried VR, but not on GT Sport.
Okay.
It was in a big sim rig. It was actually in a sim rig based on a 1960s Formula One car. And it was in a museum, and they put the goggles on, and they said most people will probably be sick if you put these on. And I went, oh well, thanks very much. But I tried it anyway, and I wasn't sick, so I was all right. But they say it can either you like it or you don't. But yeah, it was okay. I wouldn't say it was kind of mind blowing, but it was certainly different. I think if you're playing it on things like Assetto Corsa with all the kind of PC mods that you can do, then I think it's supposed to be really good with that. But no, I think that will probably come more, I imagine, with PS5. But they say it's better if you've got a motion rig. They're all the ones that actually move, because then the motion that you get with the rig matches the VR and what your body's expecting. So then you really get the kind of full immersion as you do that. But
now that you're describing it, I think I might have tried it once years ago when I was at the Sonoma Raceway, and there was like a vendor there, and you could just hop in and test it out. But that was
wow! You've been to Sonoma Raceway? That's a pretty.
Can I show you? Real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you see?
Oh wow! Yeah, fantastic. Oh, proper single seaters. Yeah.
So that was the Mazda Pro Formula 3 racer that I filmed.
Oh wow!
Got a shot with her.
Yeah. And they'll be fast and loud and that'd be. I mean, the thing is, you can probably drive cars like that at some of the track days on some of these. And I heard that a lot of American track days are, again, they're really good value for money. So that might be something you could always aim for. Get your community to help fund you. Have an attempt. Say, right, so we'll get so many thousand we can afford to go and do a track day, and then you can film it.
I would love that.
All see how well you do. No, that's the thing. But no, it's been fantastic. One last question is from Richie. It says, do you have any questions for me, as in me, that you would like to ask?
For you, Hugh? Or
for
Richie?
Me?
My God.
Or for either.
You know what? I had so many questions in mind before this today. I guess I just wanted to know more about your history with racing, like how you got started and got started into sim racing in general. You answered the car question earlier, but just you in general.
Yeah, I'd always loved gaming. I played, like yourself, the Gran Turismo 1, the first one, and 2, 3, and 4, and pretty much in every game that they brought out. And then I played a lot of the F1 games as well, because I loved the F1 games. I was never very fast in them. I was always about 3 seconds off the best times, and I could never figure out how it was they got these incredible times. But then I realized they crossed the track and did all sorts of stuff. And then in about 2013, 14, I started watching Super GT on YouTube. I just came across his channel. And I got totally hooked. I found it really relaxing to watch other people race on these games and do these games. Then I got back into Gran Turismo Sport when it was launched, and I really enjoyed that game actually. And I didn't do a lot of multiplayer actual racing until Gran Turismo Sport really. And then I learned from people like Super GT just a few tips here and there. And then I decided that for my channel I would start interviewing them. I thought, what would it be like to talk to the guys who are actually racing and doing this? And so I asked Super GT if he would come on the show, and at that time it was just a podcast, and he said yes. So yeah, it kind of worked from there. And here we are now with probably we've done over 100 guests just about. I think we've got a big catalogue of people. I haven't been banned from YouTube, so it must be working. So so it's been fantastic, and we've got a great community that's growing, and hopefully creating something for the future that people can come back and say, we saw Lady Wanderlust when she was just starting out. That's and they'll say, that was my first interview. That was the big interview we did all those years ago. So that's kind of how I managed to get going. But we've got more people coming into the chat. We've got Pit Stop Productions saying hello and hoping you're well. But now,
hope you're well too.
And Scotty has said, I hear if we all chant or sing, we might get a song. Is this true?
Oh my God, no, not for me.
Well, certainly not from me.
If I had a voice, maybe, but I don't. Not a singing voice. Sorry.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
Neither do I. I wouldn't want to put you off. You've done so well. I wouldn't want to send you out running away now. Well, it's the
right.
That's the thing. That Mr. Miata has said. It's moving so fast here on the chat. Awesome interview, Hugh. I will see you on the track, lady. So,
oh my God! See, I told you, he's always pushing me.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, to get faster and faster, which is brilliant. But it's been an absolute privilege to have you on the show. You've been awesome tonight, answering all these questions and keeping us all, giving us an idea of how it all started and how it all went. And you are welcome back anytime at all to do another show. It would be fantastic to have you back on. But if you have any last things you would like to say to the community who are all watching you here tonight, then feel free. You can give them a message of what's happening.
Well, I just want to say thank you to you, Hugh, for having me. It's been a pleasure being here. I've had a lot of fun. Everybody else, thank you for joining. It's been a lively chat, and this is making my day amazing. So thank you.
Oh, it's very kind. Thank you so much. And we have our corny lines on the Car 7 Race Driver Show, which is always drive fast and try not to crash. And if you do, you might just win the race at the first corner, which seems to be the thing that normally happens to me when I crash off at the first corner. But we always have a great time. But it's been a fantastic honor to have you on the show. And please, to everyone who's still watching here tonight, make sure you click the subscribe link on the description below for Lady Wanderlust's channel. We've got it in the description. So join our channel and help her as she grows our community, as well as ours here too, which would be Fantastic. But thank you to everyone who's watching and to all those who've been listening on the podcast. You've been watching the Car Sim and Race Driver Show with me, Hugh Hattrick, but my very special guest, all the way from sunny California. It is Lady Wanderlust.
Sunny California.
Bye just now. Take care. Stay on the line, and we'll end the show there. Bye just now.